What does it take to be happy? What is happiness in the first place? What is success? What is freedom? I ought to go about life in a way where I'm supposed to like it, but I don't. What's up, y'all? Yangen's back here. In my teenage years, I was very socially anxious and I was addicted to, well, I coped with my lack of skill in the social world and in the real world with video games and porn. Many guys growing up now, especially with the abundance of technology, this is a problem for many guys. They're all at home, and you don't see them go out because they're at home playing video games. Because it gives us a sense of challenge and accomplishment, which the masculine drive really wants. It craves that, but it does that in the comfort of being behind the screen, interacting with nobody, where you're protected and you don't actually have to risk anything. So it plays on our masculine drive and our risk reward system to kind of trick us into feeling like we are accomplishing something, but not really actually doing anything. The same is true with porn. We get the false gratifying feeling of, we're hitting it with an attractive female, but it's a simulation, right? These are simulations of the real thing. This video, I wanted to talk about how, in order to get myself unlost out of life, I had to find 2 new addictions to replace these ones. Now, before I get into the quote-unquote new addictions, I have to say that in retrospect, I think what made me feel so isolated and so alone and so uninspired and lost. Looking back now, a big part of that was feeling like I had to conform to a system, the education system, then the job system, the 9 to 5, the careers, all of that. I felt very stuck. And that's what all the adults in society and teachers, that's what they all told me. That's the path I had to go down if I was to live any kind of successful or happy or normal life. But it was in following that advice that I think really got me feeling lost and anxious and depressed without even knowing it, because I didn't believe in it. I was told I should believe in it, but I didn't. Like, in my heart, I like, who in actuality wants to fucking do that? We only resort to that because we think it's the only option we have. And so you'll see how this connects later on. But I'm going to get into my first point. So the first addiction that I found that saved me from feeling lost and potentially even ending it was lifting weights. I set out on my lifting journey as a way to make up for my lack of self-esteem and my physical attractiveness. I quickly became addicted to it because it offered me a different kind of validation, a different kind of progress, a different kind of challenge from the ones that I had been stuck to previously, video games and porn. It taught me a lot, not only about my physical body, but about myself. Eventually, this led me to graduating with a degree in kinesiology, and as well as becoming certified as a personal trainer. The fact of the matter is that finding something like lifting was something that gave me an avenue of purpose to buffer me from having none. And now I have the joy of earning money from doing what I love. But it also taught me a lot about myself, beyond just building muscles and looking good and trying to attract females and trying to lift a lot of weight. It turns out that if you lift long enough, it makes you more insecure about the way you look. All the gym bros, all the gym goers secretly know this, right? You build more and more muscle, then you get more body dysmorphia, comparing yourself to the next person who looks better than you, and it's like a never-ending game. That's basically bodybuilding, right? It's the competition to look the absolute best. So lifting was, I set out to lift in order for the outer appearance, to change the outer appearance. But little did I know that lifting would reveal to me that I had to do the inner work. I had to do inner work. Because despite looking better than I used to, I still wasn't happy with who I was. I still felt empty inside. So that led me to a lot of self-improvement. And so I binged and binged and binged and binged on all of these self-improvement videos, quote unquote productive videos. They started replacing a lot of my time and addiction to the other videos I used to watch. I got really into things like semen retention, nofap, all of that. I had a phase where I was really into that, and all these kinds of productivity videos, philosophy, psychology, and relationship videos. I started self-educating myself on understanding myself and understanding like why, what does it take to be happy? What is happiness in the first place? What is success? What is freedom? And just question everything that I thought I knew. From this inquiry into my inner self, I started to understand what I really wanted for the first time. I began to tap into the intuition of my heart rather than the fears of my mind. I defined the kind of high quality woman I wanted. And I wanted to define success and freedom on my own terms, not at the whims of other people or society. And when you define these things for yourself and you become clear on what your own definition, your own philosophy for life, you stop being at the whims of other people or the next girl who makes eye contact with you and you think, oh, she's the one. When you're in such a state of lack and fear and unfulfillment, anything that pays attention to you, you flock to it. When you develop this self-awareness to know what it is you really want, you develop a purpose for the first time. And you start to see these things that don't align to your purpose, that catch your attention, you start to see them as distractions. And so you stop being pulled by them because your purpose is higher. So I stopped getting attached to the next girl who made eye contact at me at the grocery store, or the next shiny degree with a shiny job title attached to it. I stopped caring about these things because it wasn't what I valued after inquiring to what it is I really wanted. I stopped caring about all of the conventional things that I used to put all my attention on and that parents, teachers, society told me I should want. And I realized this connects to my very beginning, was that following the norm, following the system, the factory line was what was giving me anxiety, because I felt like I had no free reign over my life. I felt like I had to follow a structure of how I ought to go about life in a way where I'm supposed to like it, but I don't. And coming to terms with that was really the greatest freedom that I felt for the first time in my life, because I realized I could do anything I wanted. And it took a while to get to that point. I don't think you really know what life feels like until you truly feel in your bones that you can be what you want to be. And it doesn't matter what other people say, because they're afraid of who they could be. And so instead, it's easier to just be a fragmented, dislocated version of themselves that isn't really them, because then they don't have to reveal who they really are. Now, after educating in all of this, I started to become more confident, more centered, more present, much more grounded in my energy. And unsurprisingly, because I started to know what I wanted, I also started to understand what a high quality female wants in a man. Or at least the kind that aligns with what I want and what I see as a high quality female. If you value yourself, you stop putting others on a pedestal. you start to see your own innate value, and you start to define what do you value, whether that's in a career, in a relationship, in friendship, right? You stop settling, you stop this needy energy. Instead, you start attracting without effort. These are overarching principles. High quality females don't want a man who tries to masquerade under this tough guy persona. I don't know how many guys I see who are still like it's obvious to me now that it's out of insecurity, because I used to try to like toughen myself up and appear a certain way to the world, where I was tough and I was strong and I was like all this macho-ness. But really it's like a boy trying to hide insecurity. And that's the honest truth. You have to stop trying to masquerade under this tough guy persona, because that's not who you really are. This is a man who also aces her shit tests with wit and unwavering love, because a high quality woman will test you constantly. And if you're less than high quality yourself, you'll fail. You'll get caught up in your own emotions and swept away by your own frustrations and emotions that you can't control. But this goes back to self-awareness, right? And this is a man who lives with his lips pressed against his fears. And that's really one of the biggest ones, is you realize to be strong is not to act like you're above your fears, but rather to acknowledge all of your fears and not try to fight your fears, but to love your fears, to press your lips against it. Like, that's true domination. You don't dominate by fighting someone, you dominate by blowing them a kiss. You get what I'm saying? That's true domination, because it's domination without force. Force is weak. It is this calmness and stillness in fear that is strength. And so that's really what it is. Following the system depressed and diminished my capacity to see what I was capable of. And so I felt like I had to cope with porn and video games because I didn't know who I was. I thought I had to be an image of myself that I really wasn't, until I dared to look and I dared to face myself. I dared to face all of my fears, all of my insecurities. And I started to love them. I started to stop running away from them, but starting to integrate them into who I am. And once you integrate them into who you are, you start to have compassion for other people. You stop being at the whims of other people. And you find a truth that you're willing to stake your life on. And that's your truth that no one else can take away from you. And so the bottom line is that you have to become addicted to something that empowers your innate masculine inside. When you find that energy for the first time, there's no other feeling. For me, it was lifting at 6 a.m. in the morning and binging on self-improvement videos, because the fear of being a basement dweller into my 30s, like reflecting on that, that pain became so big that I shifted my addiction from porn and video games into lifting and self-improvement. A lot of the times it's fear, it's pain that drives you, and you must not be afraid of that pain. Lock your lips with that fear, with that pain, and it will lift you up. You see that the fear isn't what you have to fear. It's that you have to fear that you're avoiding your fears, because that will make you stay comfortable and go nowhere. And if you want all the things that you want, that you're seeking in video games and pornography, all of that is a substitute for what you want in real life. If you see that, and you see the shame and the guilt, but you don't let the shame and the fear and the guilt control you. You integrate into you, you accept it, you acknowledge it, you love it, and you let these emotions, you transmute these emotions into an energy that fuels your drive into fearlessness. Finding that addiction, these productive addictions that drive you forward, you chase it like the dopamine hit of 10,000 nuts, like it's beyond any nut you can ever have. I'm gonna end it there. I hope you found some value in this video. If this piece resonated with you, hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace out.